Welcome to the Limitless Living podcast with Fredricka Davis, where women create success, health, and meaning, all without burnout or overwhelm. Small shifts, real results, and limitless living. Hello, and welcome back to the Limitless Living podcast. I'm Fredricka Davis, your host, wellness expert, coach, entrepreneur, and creator of the Limitless Reset Method. So today is Tuesday, and Tuesdays are all about sustainable success and what that means and how to really create success the way you want to define it in alignment with who you are and the life that you want to live and how to do it without getting burnt out. And as always, I am so grateful that you have chosen to spend a little bit of your day here with me. So originally, I had an entirely different episode planned for today. In fact, I started outlining it and creating it, and the more I was sitting with it and just moving towards that particular episode, the more I realized through conversations with clients and just maybe some of my own feelings as well, that we're really standing at this midway point in the year. We are just a little bit more than halfway through. And I couldn't stop thinking and wondering if you're feeling this way. How many of you began this year with excitement? Maybe you bought a new planner, a new calendar, you picked your word for the year that you were going to keep in there as your mantra. And maybe you wrote down your goals or even got off to a really, really good start and had a solid step-by-step plan, the whole 9 yards, right? Maybe you were eating better or just moving more in your body or working on your business, going through a long list of books that you wanted to read or podcasts you wanted to listen to, whatever it was. You probably felt like, hey, this is my year. And then all of a sudden, life happened, right? Work gets busy or you get sick or somebody else gets sick. Maybe the kids needed you or your schedule filled up or you got tired. And now here you are looking up and you're realizing, ugh, I'm not really where I thought I would be by now. So if that's you, this episode's for you. I just want you to know something. You're not alone. You're also not behind and there's nothing wrong with you. You probably don't even need another goal. What you need is definitely not another planner and you don't need another productivity app or any of the things that are floating on out there. You probably don't even need more motivation, to be honest with you. I actually think what you do need is something much different than that. And it's a different operating system. So I can tell you, I'm going to just confess here. I do evaluations pretty much quarterly with the business and everything. But the beginning of the year just always feels like such a fresh beginning. And, it's a new start, new year, new you. And just like you, probably, I didn't necessarily have New Year's resolutions, but I reevaluated my goals and what I was going to do. Well, one of those things was going to be purging the excess of clothing, purging the excess of stuff. You know how it accumulates. If you're a collector, if you like beautiful things, or if you try to run your business out of your house, maybe you can relate to this. So, I have a brick and mortar business in my wellness center and I have a lot going on in my home office though, too, between the podcast, the creation, all the different things that I do on my admin days. And I share the house, of course, with my husband, my daughter, the dog, the cat. The cleaning is never ending. German Shepherd hair, it's a real thing. It's never ending. Okay. So if you're relating to any of this, now this could be business for you. Maybe you feel like you're behind in something. I don't know. But for me, it's been my house. And because I put so much energy and effort into some of the other things, and I really, quite frankly, would rather do the other things, that can get behind. And I have to regroup, come right back to it, and stay focused. So if you are like me and you are thinking, oh my gosh, I am midway through the year, and yeah, I got a little bit done, but I'm nowhere where I thought I would be for whatever project you're thinking about or whatever it was you wanted, then you're really going to enjoy today's episode because we're going to be talking about an operating system. Okay. Now, before you think, what in the world is Freddie talking about when she says operating system. A lot of us think of operating systems for our businesses, but we can have them for our health, our life, all sorts of different things. And stay with me here. When I say operating system, I'm talking about the way you naturally approach things, approaching your life, approaching your habits. It's the habits that you default to, and it's how you make your decisions. It's how you respond when things get hard. Your operating system is how you organize your day, how you tend to think, and how you tend to solve problems. This is going to be how you naturally tend to do things. That's going to be your current operating system. And it's the way you've learned to operate over the years. Some of those ways have really served you well. I'm sure of it. But I'm betting you might have some of them that have probably expired. Like, I think about my phone, okay? Every so often it tells me, hey, a software update is available. Think about that. How many times our phones tell us our software update is available, right? A couple times a year. Now, we push ignore, right? Do you do this? I push ignore for a little while, but then eventually the phone starts to slow down or the apps won't work as well, or you won't have as much space or something starts to glitch. And it's not because anything is bad with the phone, the original operating system on the phone, but the operating system is now outdated. So, this is where I'm going with our natural current operating systems. We might have areas that are a little outdated. So, can I ask you this? When was the last time you actually updated your own way of operating, your operating system? Because here is what I have learned and experienced. The woman who got you here, woman who got me here, is probably not the woman who is going to take you where you are going to go next. Now, it's not an insult or anything negative, it's just simply growth. So, goals don't change your life. Now, I've learned something over the years, and that is that goals, they do not change your life. The way you operate while you pursue those goals, that's what changes your life. So think about it. Two women can have exactly the same goal, lose 20 pounds. We'll go with that one because most of us can relate to something like that. Or maybe grow a business. I can throw a few more in there, write a book or improve their relationships or learn a new language or public speak. I mean, there's a long list, right? And one woman will get to that goal, but the other one might not. Now, is it because the one woman wanted it more and the other one wanted it simply less? Sometimes, yes, but usually not as much as it's because one woman gradually changed the way she approached her days. She likely changed the way she made decisions and changed what she gave her attention to. This is a biggie. She also changed what she was willing to tolerate. And she changed what she repeated. Now, that's what changed in her life. That means she changed the way she operated, not the goal itself. And that's really what Sustainable Success Tuesdays are all about. It's not just about giving you more information, it's helping you learn to operate a little differently because when you operate differently, you eventually will live differently. So I'm going to give you some upgrades in your operating system. Number one is stop measuring effort and start measuring movement. Now, this one changed me in a lot of ways. For years, I measured my success by how hard I worked. Or if I worked 12 hours, that was a productive day, right? If I was exhausted, that was a productive day. I must have accomplished something because I worked so hard, right? Does that sound familiar for any of you? The problem is that exhaustion is not proof of effectiveness. Now, I know women who work 12 hours a day and still feel like they're spinning their wheels. Honestly, I have been that woman. I also know women who work much fewer hours, but make incredible progress. I know you're all thinking, yeah, well, they probably have hired help. They have this, they have that, right? Well, here's the difference. It's direction, not effort. It's movement, not motion. So ask yourself, did I move something meaningful forward today? So for me, if I'm asking myself that and throwing myself under the bus on this episode, I would be saying, did I purge one bag of clothes? Did I reorganize my desk? Something like that would be one meaningful movement forward that made life a little less stressful, a little more functional, and a little easier to navigate every day in the scheme of things, right? It could be something in business. How about for you? Did I create the landing page that I know that I need to create in order to move my online program forward? It could be in your business, it could be with your health. Did I move something meaningful forward today? That could mean that you took a walk, even if it was just 10 minutes. And that might have been 10 minutes more than usual. That means you did something that was in forward motion and that was meaningful to you in some way. Because sometimes moving one important thing forward, even if it's a tiny bit, is worth more than checking 20 little things off of a list. So this week, instead of asking, how hard did I work? I want you to ask, what actually moved forward? Now, that question alone can completely change how you measure your days. So, upgrade number 2 is going to be stop reacting and start designing. This one might actually be my favorite. So most of us, we wake up, we grab the phone, check our messages, and answer emails. And we do all this before we've even had breakfast. Now we're living someone else's agenda, not our own agenda, not our own life by design, but someone else's agenda. And we're in a reactionary mode. We are reacting to things instead of designing the way we want our day to go. And this is what I want for you. I want you to become the designer of your day. So before you ask, what do I have to get done today? I want you to ask yourself, what kind of day do I want to have? What kind of day do I want to create? Because you can create this. I know there's interruptions. I know all of you are going, oh, yeah, sure. You don't have 4 kids screaming at you. You don't have a boss who keeps interrupting. You don't have, this, that, and the other thing. So we all have stuff. And we all have more control than we realize, is what I want to say to that. And I do recognize all of those things, and some days just go to hell. I'll say it out loud. They just do. But what if you set your day up by first asking yourself, what kind of day do I want to create? What kind of energy do I want to bring into this day? And what kind of leader do I want to be today? Whether you're leading your family, yourself, your coworkers, or your business, whatever it is, what kind of woman do I want to be today? What kind of wife, mother, friend, business owner? What kind of human being do I want to be today? Because when you start designing your days, instead of simply surviving and reacting in them, then everything starts to begin to shift. Now, upgrade number 3 that I want to give you. I want you to stop trying to prove yourself. Start creating value. This one is kind of personal for me. I don't know about you, but there have been moments in my life where I really felt like I just needed to prove something, whether it was to myself or to somebody else or to the world, really had to prove something. And maybe it came in part from the way I grew up and probably from some of the choices I made when I was younger, and maybe from wanting people to believe in me because I wasn't always sure I believed in myself. Now, whatever the reason, it doesn't matter. At this point, recognizing if you've done this too, spent days, months, years, or even decades trying to prove something, like maybe that you're smart enough or capable enough or successful enough or strong enough or worthy enough. And here's what I absolutely realized. Trying to prove yourself is utterly exhausting. If you've related to any of this, do you not feel exhausted, or were you not exhausted during that period? Because no matter how much you accomplish, there's always another mountain, another problem, another benchmark. And if your success is built on proving your worth, you'll never feel like you have quite arrived. Now, what changed for me in this was that I stopped asking, how do I prove myself today? Now, I know you're not sitting there at the crack of dawn going, oh, how do I prove myself today? You might be when it comes to your job or some other different things, but it's more of a knee jerk, ingrained, habitual something in your operating system that drives you to feel like you need to prove yourself. So when you stop doing that and you start asking instead, how can I create value today? Who can I help today? What problem can I solve today? How can I leave the person in front of me, this client, this conversation, this business, this room, a little better than when I found it? That feels different. Then how can I prove myself? So, do you feel the difference? How can I serve? How can I add value instead of how can I prove I know what I'm talking about? Right? There's a difference there. One of these questions is focused inward, the other is focused outward. Now, one is fueled by insecurity, while the other is fueled by purpose. Now, don't misunderstand me here. I'm not saying become a people pleaser and a fixer and all of that. Okay. I'm not saying you give until you're empty. What I'm saying is when you shift your motivation for doing things and your focus becomes creating genuine value, then you stop chasing validation and something really beautiful happens. People naturally begin to trust you. They refer you, they remember you, and they keep coming back. Now, this is not because you convince them of anything, it's because you consistently are making their lives better. That's a completely different way to build success. And my purpose in life is to leave everyone that comes in contact with me, whether you listen to this podcast or you come into my wellness center, whatever it is, whether you're my daughter or not, to leave you better for having known me, for however little bit you knew me, whatever interaction we had. Now, I'm human, so am I perfect at that all the time? Absolutely not. But that is my number one goal. And that's the adding value. I call it a servant's heart. And that versus, wait, I have to prove to you how smart I am or how much I know so you'll hire me. So if we're talking about business now, right? So it's a completely different way to build your business. And when you are consistently doing this, your life becomes better. It trickles into everything. So upgrade number 4 is stop waiting for perfect. Start repeating what is working and keep going. And if I confess again, this podcast, you've heard me say this. It almost never happened. I took a few years before I actually launched it. And I've told this story before. I just had ideas. I had notebooks and outlines and equipment. I had logos. I had titles. I had research. But what I didn't have in myself yet was the permission for myself to launch it, even though it might not be exactly perfect. I wasn't allowing myself to be in the, hey, it's live and it's up. And yeah, it might be a little imperfect, but it's still really good world because I was too stuck in the, nope, I can't launch it until it's perfect. And I just kept thinking, I'll start when I have the perfect microphone, when I know exactly what I'm doing, when I'm more comfortable, when I figure out all the technology, all that stuff, when every episode is exactly right. So if this sounds familiar in any area of your business or your life, and it might not be about a podcast, it could be writing the book, taking care of your health or, your business, asking someone out or applying for a job. It could be a million things. Perfection is sneaky. It comes into many things. And this can even come in, I'll throw myself under the bus again, in terms of purging, like purging clothes and redoing my bedroom. This is something I'd like to do. And it can even come into that in there when you're thinking, okay, well, I know how I exactly want it to look, but I don't have the time for that yet. So I'll just keep pushing it on hold, keep pushing it on hold, keep pushing it on hold because I don't have the time to make it perfect. So I'll wait until I have the time to make it perfect instead of actually just doing a little something every single day. Right. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're pretty close and it's much easier to make it perfect or close to it. So again, perfection is sneaky. It seeps into many areas of our lives. And it sounds like it's responsible, like you have high standards. And really, most of the time, it's fear wearing a very convincing disguise. And here is what I have seen and experienced is that success almost is never built on one perfect effort. It's really built on repeating good decisions over and over and over again. And that means one workout, then another, one healthy meal, then another, one difficult conversation, then another, one podcast episode, then another, and one client served really well, then another. You don't need to be perfect. You just need repetition and action and forward motion. That's what that gives you. Because repetition creates confidence. Repetition will create the skills. It'll improve your skills and you'll get better and better and better. Repetition creates momentum. Repetition creates results. Perfection creates hesitation. So if you've been waiting for perfect, maybe today's your permission to stop waiting. Now, here's upgrade number 5. I want you to stop carrying everything. Start building in capacity. This is a woman thing. So it might be one of the hardest, especially as a woman, because everyone really depends on us. And we are so often the ones who figure it out. We figure it all out. We are the ones who keep everything moving, the ones who remember all the birthdays, the appointments, the groceries, the bills, the schedules, the work, the deadlines. It's tiring just listening to me, right? All the family responsibilities. And then, wow, what if you are a business owner on top of that? Or a caretaker on top of that to your parents or maybe some kids still? For years, I believed that being responsible meant carrying everything. If I cared about it, I should handle it. If I wanted it done well, I should just do it because honestly, I'm going to have to redo it anyway by the time I explain it and then they don't do it right and I have to fix it. All the stories I can share. And I believed that I was the one that was capable. I should say yes. I should just do it. Just do it. Just get the stuff done. Until all of a sudden one day, and you've heard some of these stories if you've been listening to the podcast, my body gave out. It just said no more. And at this point, I'm grateful it did because it forced me to ask a question I should have asked, so many years earlier. I was helping so many of my clients take care of themselves, yet I wasn't pausing long enough to listen to myself. And that question, what actually requires me? Really? And I still have to ask myself this every day. My body, my autoimmune system requires it of me every day. It's a question that I helped many clients ask themselves. Ask yourself that. What actually requires me today? Instead of asking yourself, what can I do today? How much can I get done? What's on my list? Ask yourself what actually requires me today. Because those are very different questions. There are a lot of things you can do. There's a lot of things I can do. It doesn't mean I should. And leadership isn't about personally carrying every responsibility in your home, in your organization, in your business, wherever you're at. It's not. Leadership is about making sure what matters gets cared for and leading. Sometimes that means you do it. Yes. Sometimes that means you teach someone else to do it. Sometimes that means you build a system or upgrade your own system. Sometimes it means you let go of it completely. And building this capacity is not about becoming superhuman. It's about creating enough space in your life so you can actually have the energy for the things that only you can do. Now, this is a process. This is a process I am always working on. But you ask yourself these questions. I ask them every day and it gets better and better and better. This is what sustainable success really looks like. Not squeezing more into your calendar, but protecting your capacity so your best work and your best self can show up consistently for you and for others. So, bringing all of this together as we wrap up, a little more than halfway through the year, that's where we are. Now, maybe you are already exactly where you hoped you'd be by now. And if so, kudos, outstanding. That is wonderful. Keep going. And maybe you're further behind than you originally wanted to be. Now, that's okay too, because today isn't really about the calendar. It's about realizing that the second half of your year does not have to look like the first half of your year. And this is not because you're going to set bigger goals. It's not because you're finally going to try harder, but maybe because, just maybe, you're willing to operate a little differently. Now, that's the invitation this week. Not to become someone else overnight, not to do this big giant overhaul or anything, but to make one upgrade at a time, one better decision, one new standard, one new boundary, one healthier pattern, one intentional choice. Because that is really where the lasting change happens. It's quietly and consistently, and one step, one decision at a time. So before we finish today, I want to leave you with 3 questions. Take them with you as you go through the week. Journal about them if that's your thing. Think about them on your walk. Sit with them in your morning coffee, whatever works for you. Number 1, where am I still trying to reach a new chapter using an old operating system? Question number 2, which one of today's 5 upgrades would make the biggest difference in my life if I actually committed to it? And you did notice I said which one. And finally, what is one small decision I can make today that my future self will thank me for? Not next month, not next year, but today. So, one of the things I believe with my whole heart is that the quality of your life is shaped far more by how you operate every day than by the goals you write down once a year. Goals give you direction. They're important, but they give you direction. It's your daily operating system that determines whether you ever arrive. And that's exactly why we're here every Sustainable Success Tuesday. Not just to inspire you, but to help you think a little differently, maybe lead a little differently or communicate differently, and ultimately operate differently. Because when you change the way that you are operating, the way you go through your days, your habits, you change the way you live. So if today's episode spoke to you, do me a favor, share it with a friend who might be standing at the beginning of her own next chapter, and give us a great review if you haven't done so already. We would love that. It helps other women discover the podcast and it allows the community to continue to grow. And you can find more resources and you can find more resources at fredrickadavis.com. You can also find more resources and everything we're building together at fredrickadavis.com. Next week, we are going to build on today's conversation and we'll go back and we'll talk about what I originally wanted to. And we're going to talk about upgrades that successful women eventually make. And we'll give you some specifics. So not productivity hacks, not another list of habits, I promise, but some deeper shifts that I've been watching over decades of coaching women and building businesses and just navigating reinvention and learning to heal themselves and so on and so forth, that have actually really created some sustainable success and forward movement in their lives. I have a feeling you're going to hear yourself in more than one of those upgrades. So until then, remember, be rooted, be resilient, and be limitless.